The Red Cross is such a great organization with a great history. People hear about organizations a lot, but they sometimes don't really know what you do. Would you briefly explain to our viewers what the Red Cross does?
Sure. I think that's very true. I think most people know the name of the Red Cross, the symbol of the Red Cross, but we find that most people usually only know one or two of the things that we do, and there's really a wide variety of services we provide. I think the number one thing that people think of when they hear Red Cross is giving blood, and that is a huge part of what we do. We supply about 40% of the nation's blood supply.
Wow.
And we rely on blood donors to be able to do that. I believe we need about 15,000 blood donations a day to be able to provide that much blood. So it makes sense that people know that that's what we do, but we also do quite a few other things. I think the other common conception of the Red Cross is that we provide disaster relief. And I think people generally think about the big disasters, the Hurricane Sandys and the Hurricane Katrinas, earthquakes and wildfires, but we actually respond to nearly 70,000 disasters in this country every year. And that ranges from the smallest events like a house fire where maybe just one or two people are affected, but if your house burns down, that's a huge impact for you. And so our job is to be there immediately to respond and provide relief in the form of food, clothing, temporary shelter. We even help to provide replacement medications or eyeglasses. If you've had to run out of your home with nothing, we want to be there to help you put the pieces back together.
One of the things that you also do is you help folks that are in the military at different times, whether one is stationed in the United States or somewhere in the world.
Yes.
They need the assistance of the Red Cross. I want to talk about that.
Sure. We have the privilege, really, of being able to deliver emergency communications to members of the armed forces wherever they may be stationed in the world. Even if they're on a ship somewhere in the middle of the ocean, we can get a message generally within 24 hours to that service member if there's an event back at home that affects their family that they need to know about. So that could be something, like a death in the family. It could also be a happy event like a birth in their family. And the Red Cross is a trusted source to work with the military leadership to determine if a service member should be given leave, made available to come home to their family based on what the event is.
You were talking about you're known for blood and collecting blood, and I did not realize there was such a need for blood, and that you supply such a high percentage.
Yeah, there's really we say the need for blood is constant because when you think about it, people give blood I believe every 56 days is how often you can donate blood if you're eligible. Mm-hmm. And there's a shelf life on that blood. So even if you've donated, that blood is only good for so long, and then we need your help in donating again.
There are certain times of the year, it seems like maybe around Christmas time or 4th of July or Labor Day weekend, where people are more focused on having fun and they don't think about donating blood.
That is exactly true. Yeah, the summer is a very critical time for us to be out there asking people to donate, because a lot of our donations come from students, so when they're in school and there's a drive set up at their school, it's pretty easy to keep that schedule, but in the summertime, people are out of school, people are traveling on vacations, and going in to donate blood is probably not the number one thing on your to-do list. But that, because of the life cycle of the blood supply, it's really critical that we are out there collecting at all times. For disaster preparedness, what are some of the biggest, you talked about Sandy, for example, but also it seems like we're having a lot of tornadoes, and then earthquakes seem to be happening around the world as well. We do quite a lot to try to help prepare people and even prevent emergencies. And so we go out in the community to teach courses about how you can get prepared, what you should put in an emergency kit, how you should stay informed. And one of the ways that we have really, in the last year or two, been trying to help people stay informed is through our mobile apps. The Red Cross has developed at this point about 7 or 8 mobile apps that relate to different types of disasters, emergencies, first aid skills, and you can download these on your iPhone, tablet, Android device, pretty much any smart device to stay informed. So you mentioned tornadoes as an example. The tornado app that we have can know your location and then push out alerts and warnings if there happens to be a tornado in your area. And millions of people have downloaded our app, so that really, it's a powerful tool for us to be able to keep people informed and prepared.
You were telling me that a brand new one is the swimming app. Can you tell us about, share that?
Yes, that's a new one that has come out in time for the summer to let people sort of look up swimming tips, safety tips and skills that they may want to talk about with their children, or even adults who are learning how to swim or just needing to be safe around the water. And all the apps are available in the Google Play Store or the iTunes App Store. And really, I mean, I would recommend downloading them all. You may think, you know, a hurricane's not common where you live, but like you said, we're seeing more and more of these types of events all over the country.
Well, talking about your swimming app, the Red Cross, I took them as a kid, and I think everybody has. The Red Cross gives swimming lessons all the time, don't they? No matter where you live.
Yes, that's another one of our lesser thought of services, but you're right. I think most people as children maybe came to know the Red Cross by taking a class from us. We teach swimming lessons, we train lifeguards, we do all kinds of first aid and CPR certification courses. We even teach babysitting so that you could hire a Red Cross certified babysitter to take care of your children and rest a little easier, that they'll know what to do if something goes wrong.
What's the difference between one who would be a traditional babysitter in the neighborhood and a Red Cross certified babysitter?
Well, a Red Cross babysitter would have gone through about 8 hours, a full day of training that goes through, you know, some first aid skills as well as just sort of professional development for young people to know, you know, how to react in an emergency, how to stay calm and know who to call and what to do if something should go wrong.
Another thing that I wouldn't think the Red Cross would be involved in is helping people find shelter, and you've got a shelter finding app right now.
Yes, we do. That one is really interesting because you can go on and see where shelters are open anywhere in the country at any time. I believe that the information is updated, especially during a major disaster event, every 30 minutes. So if you're in need of shelter, or if you have a loved one in another part of the country who's in need of shelter, you can open that app and find one, you know, hopefully within just a few miles of where you need help. And most of these disaster apps also have a feature on them that helps you let others know that you're safe. So there's, on the tornado app, for example, I was looking at it this morning, there's a button right at the top that you can press that says I'm safe, and it lets you put a message out through your social media network or just specifically to family and friends to let them know, you know, if the phone lines are down and they can't get through to you, that you are safe and well.
One thing the Red Cross, besides swimming lessons and donating blood, is known for its first aid courses. Mm-hmm. And also you've got, besides the courses now, you've got a first aid app. You want to share that with us a little?
Yes, the first aid app is, I think, the best one. It's by far the one that we've had downloaded the most. And that app has information on how to respond to almost any first aid emergency that you could think of, from a bee sting to a broken leg to a seizure or a cardiac arrest. And, you know, certainly referring to an app isn't necessarily going to solve your problem, but it can at least, you know, be information in your hand in real time that can help you react in an emergency. It can connect you to emergency resources, you know, tell you when it's appropriate to dial 911 because that's what you need to do for the emergency, and when, you know, if something seems like it's something you could handle yourself, get a person to safety and take care of them from there.
Share with us some of the subjects which are taught in the traditional Red Cross first aid courses.
I believe that the majority of the skills that you'll learn in a course for certification, just in first aid, cover the types of things really that you might run into with little kids or athletes or people out for hikes. They cover broken bones, how to splint someone's arm or leg. They cover hypo and hyperthermia and how to care for someone with frostbite or something like that. They cover stings and burns, rashes, and basically just try to make sure that people are familiar with the signs of these different emergencies so that they know what to do should they encounter someone. I believe seizures are covered as well, and then we have additional certification courses that go through heart-related emergencies, CPR, and use of an automated external defibrillator, AED.
It seems like every office that I've been in, if there's a problem, whoop, out comes the Red Cross first aid kit. How does one get a Red Cross first aid kit? Can they contact you folks, or?
Sure, they can contact their local Red Cross chapter. They can go online to redcross.org. There's a whole store of products that can get you everything from a first aid kit to a backpack of preparedness supplies. We really, we want to make resources readily available to people to get prepared.
The next step you have, and you help folks in time of earthquakes, and earthquakes seem to be happening more and in places where they've never happened before.
Yes, and I think where earthquakes occur frequently, people are very good about being prepared. They know what to have in their Rubbermaid tub or a box in the garage to take with them if an earthquake should occur. I know my parents actually live in Southern California, and so they're very good about earthquake preparedness. But you're right that earthquakes are occurring, more and more often in places you might not expect, and other disasters as well. And in parts of the country like the Northeast, people don't think as often about getting prepared and having that kit, and it's really just as important here as anywhere else. And
the last app that I know of that you have is the wildfire app, and that's something here in New York State we don't think that much about, but they happen once in a while.
Right, and again, the same sort of thing. The app allows us to warn people who live in areas where wildfire might occur, if they might be in danger, if they need to evacuate their homes, and if so, where they might be able to find a Red Cross shelter.
Now, one of the things which helps the Red Cross function all the time is you have volunteers who help you, and you need volunteers all the time, and you have volunteers that you need a different category. And let's start with the emergency and disaster services. How about, what kind of volunteers do you need for that?
Really, anyone of, I believe it's 16 years or older can become involved in our emergency services team. And we have all kinds of volunteers, from people who work in our offices and are there, some of them 40 hours a week, just like a paid employee, to help coordinate and provide casework services as we deal with disaster clients. We also have people who may not do 40 hours a week but are willing to go on a deployment and say there's a disaster in another part of the country, be willing to leave their families and go for up to 2 weeks at a time to respond to the needs in that community, and they are trained and dedicated to do that.
I think during Katrina, you sent a lot of folks down to New Orleans from the Albany area.
Yes, from across New York State, really, volunteers have traveled all over the country to respond in other places. After Hurricane Sandy, the volunteers from upstate New York to go downstate and help out there were, a huge number. And at the same time, when disasters occur in our area, people come from all over the country to help us. So after Hurricane Irene, you may recall that affected a good portion of Northeast New York and some of Central New York as well. And we had volunteers from as far away as Alaska who were deployed here to assist with our response. So we're always in need of additional volunteers from local communities, because the more that local people can help respond to disasters in their own areas, the more efficient we can be, and the better that those volunteers are going to know how to work within that community.